Hey everyone, so on September 30th, I made a speculative points transfer from my American Express points to British Airways, where I turned 34,000 points to British Airways, and I didn't even have a flight really in mind to do with those points, because, why, there was a 30% transfer between Amex and British Airways, so I felt like, why not enroll the dice? In the end, because of the transfer bonus, I got 43,000 points going to my British Airways accounts from Amex and that transfer bonus. Was that a bad move or was it smart? Well, I'm going to give you one reason why it's definitely not great, and one reason why it actually can work in your favor. So let's talk about this right now. So obviously let's start with the bad here, and obviously transferring points without a set flight is pretty much the main reason, because it's a risky game, because if you don't know what flight or hotel or cruise it's going to when you're transferring points from a credit card issuer such as Amex, Chase, or Citi, you could be stuck with those points and you don't know what to do with them. I mean, think about it. And also with these transfers from the issuer to an old hotel or airline, it's a one-way street, which means once it's transferred, you can't return it back to that credit card issuer. So you really need to know what's going on and making sure you have a set reservation for a flight or a hotel or a cruise to make it work with your points and miles. And honestly, in the points and miles game, that's a very basic rule, because you have to know where you're going to book so you can get the maximum return back on the money you spend as well. So let's give you an example. So I helped an individual a while ago where that individual had Virgin Atlantic miles, and that individual transferred basically all their Capital One miles to Virgin Atlantic because they thought they could use those Virgin Atlantic to book domestic flights in America. That individual found out that they couldn't make it work and just stuck with, I think, like 80,000-ish points or whatever from Virgin Atlantic from Capital One. It was crazy, right? So, but in the end, the individual found a loophole to transfer, not really a loophole, just a strategy to transfer those Virgin Atlantic points to Hilton. So I assisted in helping doing that. And in the end, that individual got Hilton points transferred, 100,000 or whatever it is, from Virgin Atlantic. And that individual was able to book hotel stays with Hilton. So in the end, that could be a really big issue if you don't know where to go with those points. So definitely, that's why speculative transfer may not work in your favor. So let's move on to why, the one good reason why it could work out. And in my case, personally, it could depend on the currency. Now think about it. So British Airways is on an airline currency called Avios, which can be used between a lot of their airline partners within their alliance. So Avios can be used between such as British Airways or Aer Lingus or Iberia, Finnair, or Qatar, and you can basically use them interchangeably, and that's why it's so awesome to have, and that's why the speculative transfer may not be so bad. So let's talk about, so basically if I have those British Airways points, I can book maybe to England, or transfer to Aer Lingus to Dublin, or Iberia to Spain, or Finnair to Finland. Meaning if my initial flight from British Airways failed, I can just transfer points and use other airlines within the Avios system to book flights. And the examples I mentioned are just the tip of the iceberg, because you can do the transfer Avios, not only fly to Europe, but you could fly to other destinations such as, like, Japan with, Iberia or British Airways, or even Australia when partnering with Qantas and another one world partner that I've mentioned already. But just in case, in my personal situation, I actually did use that transfer, and I actually found a flight for next year in the fall. So I'll be looking to fly, and I already booked business class from Helsinki, Finland to America. And because of that transfer mode, I saved way a lot more points. So for the flight, I didn't have to pony the 62,500 Finnair points that was required because of the bonus. So that's a win in my end. And that's what I used that transfer bonus in mind. So just want to give you an example of how to use your points in Avios and to really maximize your award points and travel in the game. Anyway, that's it for my example, and just really speculative transfer in general, where you think is good and bad. You gotta look at it from both sides of the fence. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you all think about this topic and the example I brought up between the good and the bad. Anyway, make sure to hit that like button, like, subscribe, help me get to my goal of 2,000 subs for the rest of the year. As I say in all my videos, life is short, travel more on, stick around for some clips from my recent trip in Japan. Anyway, I'll see you all for the next one.